The voice of NBA at our network, Chris Broussard. Let's bring him on. Okay, let me just start with this. What makes a good TV show is personality, talent, and a little bit of a hot mess. Philadelphia is so much fun to watch. I know the rest of the country, they're not a national topic for a lot of shows. I love watching them play. They got dysfunction. They got baby Shaq. They got Butler's ego. But when I watch this series, Toronto's a nice story. They got one stud. Doesn't it feel like Philadelphia's got significantly longer, more athletic, more talented guys?
There's a couple things. One, somebody asked me just earlier today, who would be my pick for the finals? You know, just the most exciting finals.
Yeah.
The most fun. And I said Golden State and Philadelphia.
No question.
It would be fun to watch. I don't think Philadelphia could beat them, but it would be exciting and fun. No question.
Philadelphia is a less refined, less mature, less buttoned-up Golden State.
Yeah, and you mentioned the maturity. That's the one question I had about the Sixers coming into the playoffs was, are Embiid and Simmons mature enough yet to win a big series? Embiid showing me a lot. I mean, obviously playing-wise, but just mental toughness to play through this injury. So I'm with you. And look, their starting five is arguably the second most talented in the league behind Golden State.
I think it is.
Yeah, so they should beat Toronto if they play to their potential. I question Brett Brown's coaching, but credit him. He's made some great adjustments. He put Tobias Harris on Marc Gasol.
Yep.
They haven't figured out how to exploit that. Toronto hasn't figured out how to exploit, Ben Simmons in the half court not being an offensive threat. So I think if they face Boston, Philadelphia down the road, that'll be an issue for them. But look, here's the thing about Toronto. Number one, let's just face it. They're soft. And it's not Kawhi Leonard. They were soft before Kawhi got there, and they're still soft. He's not soft, but what is going on? I mean, this is a soft team. It's been that way for the last 5 or 6 years.
Thank you. And by the way, I love Canada.
Canada's soft.
They're nice.
I like visiting too, but it's soft. All right? Drake is a dope rapper. He's a little soft. All right? He's a great rapper and one of the best, but I'm just saying.
Hey, listen, they shrink. And they do. First of all, LeBron was the meteor that led to their extinction in the playoffs. And now Joel Embiid is just intimidating them.
Look, and here's the thing. They're making it so easy
no kidding.
For Kawhi Leonard to go to the Clippers or wherever he wants to go. And here's the thing, too, Colin. Shame on Jeannie Buss if she's not on the phone calling Masai Ujiri right now.
Now, tell our audience who that is.
That's the president of the Toronto Raptors.
Very respected
guy. One of the
guy.
best executives in the NBA.
Smart dude.
She needs to be talking to him. Forget going to dinner with Magic. Call Masai Ujiri. And I know he loves Toronto, but I also know he wants to win at a high level. And you got to be sitting there looking at this like...
Fred VanVleet? Listen.
My boys are shrinking, they keep shrinking year after year.
I think they're just – I think also when for years and years the Boston Red Sox would shrink in the postseason. And then all of a sudden you got Manny and Curt Schilling, and these two sort of transformative personalities put the franchise on their backs and said Schilling and Manny are like, no. We're better than the Yankees. And sometimes it takes a transformative personality in the locker room. Well, Kawhi is not a transformative personality. No. He's just a really good player.
Right.
So the reality is Toronto's not a free agent destination. There's about 6 of them in the NBA. Maybe 4 to 6.
That's what they were so fortunate to get DeMar DeRozan to stay. Vince Carter, Tracy McGrady, Chris Bosh. Look, they will, and I'm joking about Canada and Drake and all that, but they will have a hard time.
Yes.
Getting American free agents to go there.
Of course.
It's just as simple as that. It's a great city, but it's not American. When you're there, you feel it.
Yeah. And it's also cold, and it's isolated, and it's expensive, and that's the reality. Vancouver had a franchise. I think Vancouver's the most beautiful city in North America.
Agreed.
I go there like every other year, and the players didn't want to play there. Right. You're like, food, city, sites, money, facilities, great. They didn't want to play there. Let me say this about Embiid, though. And I've said Philadelphia just loves me as a city, Cleveland and Philadelphia. But I've said this. I can feel with the Sixers a lot of Oklahoma City. And they had choices. They had Harden, they had Westbrook, and they had Durant. And they chose Westbrook over Harden. Mistake as it was becoming a shooter's league. They didn't actively choose Westbrook over Durant, but Durant felt that way. They made the wrong choice, and now they're a one-and-done franchise. Philadelphia's got 4 guys. They all want max money. Tobias isn't good enough to get it. Butler's got an attitude, I'd be worried. Embiid's got a health issue. And Ben, I'd give it to him, but he's got to be able to shoot. Philadelphia keeps thinking they got this huge window. Chris, I don't think they do. I think these guys are going to start peeling off.
Well, we know the window definitely is about 2 or 3 years. Now, if Embiid gets his health in order, it could be much longer. Hopefully he will for the sake of us as NBA fans.
What about Butler?
Look, Butler is great. He is great. He solved their problems down the stretch, their execution problems, but I still would be hesitant to turn the franchise over to him. And you have to let this play out. If they get to the NBA Finals, then I feel better about bringing back this team as it is.
What if they beat Toronto and then lose to either Milwaukee or Boston? What would you do?
Well, I'm not trading Embiid. I know you've been on the trade Embiid this summer thing. There's no way. I'm riding with him as long as I can. Now, if next year, health-wise, he falls apart and it looks like, man, we just can't count on him, that's another story. But after this, I'm not trading him. What I'm doing is I am getting him, and I know it's not only their decision, he's got to be involved with it, but getting him on a better nutrition program, getting that weight down, because a lot of people there feel like his knee problems are related to he's overweight and out of shape.
Well, that was Shaq's issue in L.A. They just felt he was too heavy.
Yeah, and Shaq I don't know that Shaq was this big when he was younger at this age, because he wasn't slim ever, but he wasn't the Shaq we remember in L.A. at a young age. So I'm working with Embiid on his body, on his work ethic. You know, if he keeps working on his jump shot, as I'm sure he will, his three-pointer, sky's the limit for that guy. So there's no way I'm trading him right now, especially in this league where he has no peer. He has no peer. I love Nikola Jokic. He's a great center, but he has no peer at the center position when he's healthy. So I'm not trading that guy. That gives me a difference maker in this league of a bunch of shooters.
Okay, so I had this conversation with my wife last night. She doesn't like sports. She used to be in HR. And so we're sitting there talking, and we're watching this game, and I said, this guy's unbelievable, but I think they should trade him. And now, again, my wife's not a sports fan, so she's not emotionally connected to this stuff. It's just all common sense to her. And I said, what if you had an employee when you were in HR, you hired him, and for 2 years he couldn't show up for work? She'd be like, well, he's a liability. And I said, Embiid. And she said, well, did he get healthier? I said, yeah, kind of, but he just missed 14 of 24 games after the All-Star break. He missed playoff games last year, this year, and he needs 6 treatments a day to get on the floor. And she said, well, yeah, that's you can't build around that as an employee base. If you just take the emotion out of it,
after what you're seeing right now, after what you saw last night, you're ready to trade him?
Okay. After what I saw with Westbrook winning the MVP, I was like, stocks high, get him out.
But here's the thing.
Now you can't trade Westbrook.
And I agree, I would rather have James Harden than Russell Westbrook. But you keep saying they made the mistake. They made the mistake. Really? Is it definitive that they made a mistake? James Harden, how far is he going in the playoffs? Has he been to the finals? Without, Westbrook and Durant?
You don't think Harden?
Has he led a team?
Well, you don't think Harden's better than...
I think Harden, like I said, I would take Harden right now over Westbrook. But what I know about Harden is the same thing I know about Westbrook.
Well,
both of their numbers go down in the playoffs.
Well, one guy gets out of the first round.
He's got Chris Paul with him, and he's got a coach whose offense is perfect.
Oh, wait, time out.
Perfect.
The other guy's got
Harden.
Paul George.
That's on Paul, too. Look, I'm just saying, you acting like Harden's winning championships.
No.
Let's see him do that. I'm not. And let me tell you this about the Houston Rockets. I like the Rockets. Colin, they're going to go down, and I'm not just talking about this year. They're going to go down like Steve Nash's Suns and Chris Webber's Kings. We're going to remember, and they were really good, really close, but they'll never get over the hump and win that championship.
Let me start with this, Warriors-Rockets. For a TV rating standpoint, nobody cares except us. Toronto-Milwaukee is a death sentence for a network, and so is a sweep by the Warriors over the Rockets, and the Warriors face Denver. But this is not the NFL where everybody watches the Super Bowl regardless of who's in it. Baseball and the NBA tend to need certain teams: Yankees, Red Sox, Cubs. Dynasties in the NBA, LeBron James are big. But I look at this Rocket series and I look at it against the Warriors, and I firmly believe this, that Golden State is so in Houston's head that they came into this series believing they were going to win the free throw battle. They were going to shoot free throws to get to the finals. And now that it didn't work in the first two games, I wonder if Houston can recover.
Well, I think it definitely had an effect in game two.
Yeah.
I think to your point, and Daryl Morey has said, literally, I'm obsessed with beating the Warriors. Players talk all the time about the culture of an organization and how it filters down.
Yeah.
That's the culture he's setting. We're obsessed with this team. So to your point, I do think they planned on going there, getting game one,
had the numbers,
taking control of the series. Yeah, they had the numbers, and they were so distraught by the refereeing in their minds, how bad it was and everything. I think they lost focus heading into game two.
Agree.
And the first quarter, when they had 9 of their 17 turnovers in the first quarter, at one point they were just giving the ball up on every possession. That, to me, was a sign of a lack of focus. They weren't focused on the right things. And I'm not going to say that's where totally the game was lost. But they were in a hole and they never got out of it.
No.
And I think they win game three because I do think their focus will be better. I think all that's kind of died down. They handled themselves better at the post-game press conference, even though they weren't totally honest. Because for Chris Paul and James Harden act like what bickering, what criticizing of the referees when Chris is jumping up and down when Harden gets a call on the three. Come on. So, but I think for the most part it's died down, and now they've focused in on, okay, let's just play basketball on the court. So I think they'll come out with a better effort in game three and win.
I do think there's a fundamental problem for Houston. When Golden State does their Hamptons 5 lineup, which is their small lineup, it reduces the effectiveness of Capella. And I think it's a problem. You want to talk numbers and free throws? Here's my numbers. The Hamptons 5. Capella's he's probably our third best player. Right. He's not as valuable when they go small.
Well, and they haven't been able to exploit Golden State when they go small. They're getting killed on the offensive glass. Capella's not getting shots. He's got 9 total shots in this entire series. Whereas he averaged like 11 a game in the regular season. They don't have anything else to go to. That's the problem with Houston. And that's been the problem with Mike D'Antoni teams once they get to the playoffs. They're predictable. I don't think Mike makes many adjustments. No. It's kind of like we do what we do, and we're going to beat you.
It's a little bit like the LA Rams. We love Sean McVay's system, and we love Mike D'Antoni's system. But when you watch the Super Bowl, you're like, Rams. They figured out your system. By the way, I just read Belichick's book. Belichick loves facing teams that have a system. Belichick hates facing Andy Reid, who comes in with all sorts of new stuff every year and doesn't really have a dependable system. I think D'Antoni, Popovich is much more willing. No game question. To game Belichick change. D'Antoni's like, this is what I do, beat us.
Houston has taken 9 mid-range shots in the 2 games, which is right on pace with what they did during the regular season. Yeah. They're not changing. There's nothing new for them to go to, whereas Golden State, everybody thinks of them as just 3-point shooting team, and they are, but they were second in the league in mid-range attempts in the regular season.
That's right.
And they get backdoor layups and cuts and things. They're versatile, whereas Houston's not, and that's a big difference in this series.
Okay. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.